Maps of the modern Middle East are often maps of instability. Decades of geopolitical pressure routinely cause nation-states to fracture into competing factions or collapse into open conflict. Jordan remains the anomaly. It is a functioning, enduring state anchored by the Hashemite family, a dynasty whose original claim to power was actually located hundreds of miles away from its current borders. For centuries, the Hashemites served as the sharifs of Mecca. They trace their lineage directly to the Prophet Muhammad's clan, the Banu Hashim, tying their authority to the specific geography of faith. They were the physical guardians of Islam's holiest cities. This role carried a moral weight that resonated across the Islamic world, providing a legitimacy rooted in religious symbolism. The architects of Jordan's modern administrative system began their journey as the custodians of this ancient religious order. That historical identity was severed in 1924. Rising Saudi forces captured Mecca and Jeddah, forcing the Hashemites to surrender the holy cities that had defined their dynasty for generations. The family moved eastward, relocating to a British Mandate territory called Transjordan. This was a new map with artificial borders, far from their traditional base of power. In Amman, state-building became a matter of immediate necessity. The dynasty had to link desert tribes and growing towns into a working administration where no centralized system had previously existed. Losing the Hijaz stripped away their historical role, forcing the dynasty to reinvent itself as a political administration. Legitimacy could no longer be inherited. It had to be built through the practical functions of government. Independence placed Jordan directly beside the region's most volatile flashpoint, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This geographical reality made every regional crisis an internal Jordanian concern. The 1950 annexation of the West Bank tied the kingdom's stability directly to the Palestinian question. This proximity proved fatal when King Abdullah I was assassinated while entering Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. King Hussein took the throne as a teenager. He inherited an exposed kingdom and spent the rest of his life mastering the specific skills required for political and physical survival in a hostile environment. In this part of the world, national borders rarely act as barriers. External conflicts frequently bleed inward, testing the state's control of its own territory on a daily basis. By the late 1960s, Palestinian armed groups known as the Fedayeen had established independent strongholds inside Jordan. These clusters effectively functioned as a competing authority within the state. These groups operated outside the law, carrying weapons in public and launching cross-border attacks. Their actions triggered military counterstrikes from Israel that landed back on Jordanian soil, creating a paralyzing crisis of sovereignty. In 1970, the situation reached a breaking point. Militants hijacked several international airliners, forced them to land in the Jordanian desert, and blew them up in front of the world's media. It was a blunt message that the Jordanian state no longer controlled its own land. King Hussein declared martial law. He sent the Jordanian army into militant strongholds, turning city neighborhoods into active battle zones to remove the competing power centers. In the years that followed, the monarchy continued to absorb massive waves of refugees from across the region. Managing these populations became a core requirement for maintaining internal stability. Black September remains a defining moment for the monarchy. It established a rigid rule for survival. The state cannot endure unless it maintains an absolute, undivided chain of command. When King Abdullah II took the throne in 1999, the kingdom's security relied on economic stabilization. Public pressure now came from household math, unemployment and inflation, rather than military hardware. The Aqaba Special Economic Zone was launched as a strategy to create financial independence. The goal was to build a commercial and tourism hub capable of pulling the rest of the national economy forward. Queen Rania integrated soft power into the monarchy's survival strategy. By using media presence and humanitarian foundations, she projected an image of a modern, functional state to a global audience. In a region where perception influences investment, these initiatives are highly practical. They buy the international support and domestic patience necessary to keep the government functioning. To remove uncertainty about the future, the monarchy utilizes a visible succession. Crown Prince Hussein is consistently presented as a figure of continuity, signaling that the system will remain stable beyond the current reign. His work centers on youth opportunity and leadership programs. This is a structural defense against the demographic pressures that have destabilized neighboring governments across the Middle East. The lineage that once oversaw the pilgrimage to Mecca now manages the technicalities of economic zones and youth employment. They have survived by aligning their ancient claim with the modern requirements of governance. Today, the Hashemite monarchy relies on the quiet, daily achievement of keeping a country functioning under constant pressure. In a region where the future can collapse in a single afternoon, survival is found in the discipline of routine.